Well, howdy, church family. This is Pastor Joel coming to you once again on a Monday afternoon. Last week, I talked about how, because of the coronavirus epidemic, many of us are grieving the loss of our normal routines. Today, I want to talk about something else that many of us feel like we have lost over the last several weeks. And that is our sense of security. Many of us attempt to avoid the following two circumstances in order to feel secure in life. First, we try to avoid health crises. After all, you don't feel secure when you're sick, or when you're injured, or when you're depressed, or when you're in the hospital. You don't feel secure at those times. But second, we try to avoid financial hardships because you also don't feel secure when you lack a stable source of income, when you're unsure of whether you will be able to put food on the table or pay your mortgage or pay utilities. Now, by God's grace, many of us are able to avoid these circumstances most of the time. But then, something like COVID-19 happens. And we find ourselves, for example, afraid to go to the grocery store to buy food. Because who knows what germs lurk in the midst of the carrots. And then someone coughs, and we run for cover. And then to make matters worse, the pandemic brings with it an economic downturn. Salaries are cut, companies are being downsized, job openings are being eliminated. Where do we find security in a season like this? Well, King David tells us where to find security in Psalm 18, verse 2. He actually writes these words before he becomes king. And here's what he says. He says, "The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold." Now, David wrote these words in response to God delivering him from his enemies, most notably from King Saul. Talk about a life devoid of security. David found himself in a situation, and many of you know this story, where the very king of Israel sought to take David's life. And so David found himself constantly either running or hiding, not a very secure way to live. And yet, we see in this psalm that David found security, not in his circumstances. Oh no, his circumstances were anything but secure. David found security in his God. Let me read Psalm 18, verse 2 again. "The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield, the horn of my salvation, my stronghold." Listen, friends, physical and mental health, financial stability, these are good things. They're good things. But they were never meant to be our ultimate source of security. That is reserved for God alone. Specifically, God provides us immovable security in at least four ways. And with this, I will close. Number one, God provides us immovable security with His presence. His presence. As God reminds us in Hebrews 13, verse 5, "Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you." No matter what you're going through, God is present with you today. He will not leave you. He will not forsake you. But second, God provides immovable security with His sovereignty. because God is not only with you, he's actually in control of what you're going through. No matter how it might seem, he is in control. Job confesses this. In Job 42, verse 2, he says to God, I know that you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. Nothing happens outside of the will of God. Third, God provides immovable security with his goodness. His goodness. You know, it would be hard to trust a sovereign God if we didn't also believe that he is good. If we didn't also believe that he has our best in mind. Well, 1 Chronicles 16 tells us just that. It says, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His steadfast love endures forever. He is good, friends. He loves us. We can trust him. And then fourth, God provides us immovable security through his sacrifice. Through his sacrifice. Because you see, God sent Jesus to earth to die on the cross in our place, and in doing so, to make it possible for us, by faith, to know that our eternity is secure with God in heaven. God gave up the security of his only Son to make it possible for us, for you and for me, to find ultimate security. This kind of God is trustworthy. He is an immovable source of security no matter what we face here on earth. Listen, during this season, security often might seem difficult to grasp for many of you. May God be your source of unending security and abiding peace. God bless you all.